Another aspect which affect elasticity of demand is the proportion of price of commodity in my expenditure. So proportion of expenditure in my total budget decide elasticity of demand. In simple term, if a commodity is contributing much amount in my budget of expenditure, then its elasticity of demand will be high. If the commodity which contributes very less to my total budget, its elasticity of demand will be very less. Very naturally, if a commodity which contributes a lot to my budget, its price fluctuation will affect my demands. Let's say I'm a salesperson. I have to go from one place to another. So, traveling expenses and in particular the petrol prices are very crucial for me. So, if the petrol prices increases by 20%, my budget gets shifted very up and down. So, I try to reduce my consumption. I try to shift my pattern of working. So, that's where the part which contributes more to your proportion of budget, its change in price will directly affect its consumption pattern. Hence, for those kind of product whose contribution is more, the elasticity of demand will be more. Because it directly affects my budget. My expenditure budget has been directly affected because its contribution is more. So higher the contribution, higher will be the elasticity of demand. Lesser the contribution, lesser will be the elasticity of demand. Examples are very nice. Let's say an example of newspaper, needle, or let's say salt, matchbox. These products contribute very less to my budget. So even if their price increases or if their price becomes double or triple, the contribution to my budget is very negligible. So my demand for those kind of product whose contribution is less will not get affected. In a nutshell summary, if contribution of a commodity in my budget is high, its elasticity of demand will be high, which means there are price changes, the demand changes accordingly with very effective rate. But if the commodity which has a low level of contribution in my expenditure budget, then the demand will be relatively inelastic, which means even if there is a price changes, the demand will not change that fast. One example to explain this concept. Let's say I have two people. One is very rich, another is a moderately earning person. They went to buy a shirt and they saw a shirt earlier it was costing 600 rupees, now it is costing 1800 rupees. Now a rich person will say what 1800 is peanuts for him, but he wants that shirt, he'll go and buy it. For a mid-income level or low-income level person, he'll say 1800 is too high. I need to look into other options, so he'll go to other shops. So demand for the person will change with the proportion of that consumption is higher for low or mid-level income, and hence demand for it will change faster. But for a rich person, the proportion of expenditure on those clothing will be very less. So for him, the demand will be relatively inelastic. In a nutshell summary, if proportion of expenditure in budget is less, then the demand is less inelastic or inelastic. And if the proportion of expenditure is more, the demand is elastic.